What's happening, everybody? As a personal trainer and a life coach, it's very interesting to me some of the mindsets that people have regarding progress. They fall into one of several categories. The first category is the hopes and dreams. These are people who want to see progress by hoping for it, dreaming for it, praying, manifesting, whatever. The second category are people who have put in some work, and that's great, but something is coming up and they get concerned that that brief interruption is going to shatter all of their progress and it's over. It's a wrap. Then there's the third category. This is the type of person who sees where they're at versus where they want to go, and that becomes a huge mountain and they want no part of that action. Well, if you happen to be like that, you're watching the right video. I'm gonna set the record straight on just what it takes to make and break your progress towards your goal. So stick around and keep watching the rest of the video. What's happening, everyone? My name is Achidi and I'm a type A personal trainer and life coach. What that means is that I specialize in helping to teach you simple and sustainable solutions to all those health and wellness questions and problems that you have out there. But best of all, I'm gonna make sure you don't go crazy with those solutions. I like to keep things very simple and sustainable. And with today's topic of making progress, I'm gonna give you a simple definition of just what progress is. I'll help you come up with some progress indicators that will help you stay on the path and keep you on track of seeing the progress that you're making. And finally, I'll also go over just what it takes to break your progress. It's not something that's just instant or magic or a bad curse. I'll make it very easy for you to digest. So, just before I get into everything, you can help me grow my channel. I'm still in the early stages of getting my first 100 subscribers, and you can help me get there. So just take 1 second. On the bottom of the screen, you'll see a subscribe button. Just go ahead and tap that button. It doesn't cost you anything. It just keeps you plugged into my channel for all the latest and greatest content that I put out there. So, enough talking and trying to beg for your subscription. I'm gonna start giving you good information. Starting off, the first part is just what is progress? Progress is not being at your goal. Time and time again, many people put their goal and progress at the same level. And newsflash, when you put your goal and your progress at the same level, all you can do is just be deficient. Progress is actually defined as the onward movement towards a goal, and that process happens through betterment. It's just a very fancy way of saying in order to reach your goal and see progress, you have to put in time, you have to expend some effort, and that's gonna burn through some energy. It's not just gonna happen by wishing, hoping, dreaming, or magic. And also on the other side, in terms of losing progress, you have to put in some time, effort, and energy just going in the opposite direction. I'll cover both sides of the coin throughout this video, but I just wanted to set the record straight on just what progress actually means. And also, progress is a component of getting to your goal. Getting to your goal requires having a plan. And within that plan, you should have some indicators of progress built in. So let's talk about that next topic, which is the indicators of progress. So now that we have a clear definition of just what progress is, let's talk about indicators of progress. You don't want to just rely on one single indicator of progress, and you especially don't want to make that indicator of progress being there or not. I'm actually going to give you 4 different categories that you can fill in multiple lines of progress towards. That will give you a full picture of just what you are doing and give you the ability to work on differing levels of your goal. And that way, even if you're away from the gym or you're traveling or you're sick or whatever life throws at your way, you will still be able to stay on track in some way, shape, or form. So let's go over those 4 categories real quick. So the first indicator of progress is going to be measurable ones. These are probably the most popular and widely used, like things like your body weight, wearing a tracking device to measure your work output during workouts, measuring the amount of calories that you eat each day with a food tracking app, measuring how many drinks you have if you're trying to reduce your alcohol intake, tracking how many cigarettes you smoke if you're trying to reduce your cigarette smoking. There are so many pieces of data that you can track that align with moving you to your goal that you should have more than one bits of trackable data. That's gonna be the first progress indicator, because when you can see numbers, you can see things as they move towards or away from your goal and make changes accordingly. So make sure you have some things that you can measure. The second category is going to be more about yes or no. These are going to be behaviors that you should be tracking. Did you hit snooze this morning? Did you pack your lunch for tomorrow the night before? Did you go grocery shopping with a list and get only the things on that list? Did you have breakfast this morning? Did you make it to a certain hour before breaking your intermittent fast? These are all yes or no behaviors that will either show you if you're moving towards or away from your goal. So the second category should include some yes or no behaviors in terms of tracking your progress. The third category is going to be tracking what goes on between your ears when we're talking about that self-talk. Often in the beginning, many of us, myself included, can be very harsh, negative, and self-deprecating about ourselves, and especially within our head. You should be tracking the kind of words that you're using or the things that you are saying about yourself throughout your journey. You should be able to see if they are starting to move you in a positive direction along with your goal. If they are not moving you in a positive direction to your goal, don't give up. Look and see at your game plan. Maybe your game plan is too aggressive and that's causing you to have elevated stress levels and giving you more reason to beat yourself up. Or maybe your game plan isn't aggressive enough and you're not seeing the returns on the time, effort, and energy that you put in, and you realize that you could be doing more. So hearing the self-talk and analyze it rather than just using it as a catalyst to punish yourself is going to be a great indicator of progress, because you should be able to see that your self-talk goes in a good positive direction that correlates with you doing all the behaviors that make long-term goal maintenance possible. So track your self-talk. Don't just use it as a way to beat yourself up. And lastly, we're going to be talking about tracking our energy and our moods as the final indicator of progress. You don't want to be constantly super manic all over the place, nor do you want to just be in bed all the time. You should be functioning kind of in the middle somewhere with some small ups and downs. So you want to be tracking how well you are getting towards that, or if you're getting away from it. Because like I said, the intensity of your game plan might cause you to be excessively agitated, or it might make you go down in the dumps. You need to be tracking what's going on and see if you need to change up your game plan or expectations so that you can manage that better. When you keep track of these 4 different indicators of progress, you're going to have differing things to work on throughout your journey. Even if you're not able to do everything on your behaviors list, you can see about managing your mood and energy better, or your self-talk, or you can work on managing some of the data differently. As I said, by having multiple indicators of progress, you can work on many different things. So when life gets in the way, you can still make headway towards your goal. And speaking of which, let's talk about going the opposite direction, which is regression. There is another side to making progress, and that is when you regress, or make backwards movement from your goal. And that is the result of backwards thinking. When your thinking is backwards, meaning that it's going the other direction of what you want to see happen, you need to change that. Regression is oftentimes well within your control. And when you track the 4 categories that I went over earlier, you'll be able to see where the changes need to be made. Also, this is another thing. Just like you have indicators of progress, you have indicators of regression. So that way you kind of have a ceiling and a floor of your behaviors, if you will. The indicators of regression would be if I start to see myself accumulating this much negative weight, this much excessive calories, drinking this much more, smoking this much more, I gotta address it. Or if I start doing these negative behaviors that pull me away from my goal, I gotta address that. Or if my self-talk is really getting overwhelmingly negative, I gotta address that. And finally, if your mood and energy is super high, super low, volatile all over the map, clearly you're gonna have to address it. So having both indicators of progress, and regression will help you stay in control of the overall progress to your goal. So here are my final thoughts. Making progress and unfortunately going into regression both take time, effort, and energy. You have the capacity to control whether you go forward or backward. It takes coming up with indicators of progress or indicators of regression in order for you to continue to have a full picture over everything that you're doing. You can do this, you're in control. It comes down to keeping yourself on point and recognizing the signs of progress and the signs that you're potentially regressing. I trust this video gave you some great things to think about and game plan on the way towards your goal. Check out some of the other videos on my channel and have a great week, everybody.